Good morning and welcome back to Wishwell Farms, everybody. Just doing a quick check around the farm, inspecting all the greenhouses before my employees show up to see what all jobs I got for them this morning. And then I'm heading to our fertilizer and seed supplier to pick up a load of AMS, ammonium sulfate. I spread about 300 pounds of ammonium sulfate on our ground where we're laying plastic mulch on raised beds. I like to do that right before I disc it in, and then we'll be ready to lay plastic here hopefully tomorrow morning if it doesn't rain tonight. So that's the plan. So just walking through our tall greenhouse, planting number one. The plants definitely need lowered today or tomorrow. They are up to the spools again. This will be the third lowering, so these things are growing pretty good. We got some full-size tomatoes down here. Yeah, we got some big boys. These are looking good. Nothing turning color yet, but it won't be long. I'm hoping to start seeing a few tomatoes turn maybe next week. So even though it's only April 29th, I'd like to have a nice pile of tomatoes stockpiled by the mid-May, so we are ready to go for our first farmer's market the Saturday before Memorial Day. So that is what we're hopeful for. And things are looking pretty good. A little bit of thrip damage here and there, so I'll probably better spray this week. I did see one tomato turning up here. Yeah, but look at it, blossom end rot. Now that is concerning to me. This whole plant has blossom end rot. What in the world? Look at this. Oh no, that is not good. What in tarnation's going on here? That just like formed over the weekend. It's the only plant. I normally don't get any blossom end rot on the hydroponic tomatoes because they're fed an exact recipe and they get everything they need. So I'm gonna check these drippers. I bet you there's one not working well. You know, that's the only thing I can figure. Because I know they're getting plenty of calcium and everything else they need. There should not be blossom end rot on those plants. Well, anyway, I'm gonna hop in my truck, head over to get this AMS, and hopefully get it spread here before lunch. I'm here at Van Bauer Fertilizer and Seed to pick up my fertilizer spreader. We're getting 2,700 pounds of AMS, ammonium sulfate. Take that little white one right there. Right inside here is where we're going to load up. Normally there's someone in the room that turns that light green and it'll turn red when I'm supposed to stop. But he's out running around, so we're going to have to guess when to stop. Coming out of that chute right there, man, that's just about right. Pull up maybe another foot. Hopefully that's good. So as soon as TJ gets back here, we will get my AMS loaded into the spreader, and then we'll head back to the farm and get it spread so I can do some disking. While we're waiting, let's take a little tour. That bay has map. Here's the AMS. Here's the potash bay. Wow. That's a big room. Whew. Jiminy Christmas. That's incredible. I'm guessing that's urea. Looks like a snowy mountain getting ready to avalanche. I'm not sure what that one is. There she is. All right, got my load of AMS, heading home, and I got 3 employees out in greenhouse number 1, working right now, doing some plant maintenance, and then we need to get some grape tomatoes picked. They're finally starting to come on a little bit, not a bunch, but you know, enough that we have to go in there and get them picked every other day. So heading back to the farm, and we'll get all those chores done, and then we'll get out in the field and spread this AMS. All right, made it back to the farm. I'm gonna go check on my employees in the greenhouse and see what all they got done. I was hoping to spread this fertilizer after lunch. It's 9:40 right now, but my brother said our nephew wants to get out and start drilling beans again right after lunch. So I'm probably gonna need to spread this right away. And it's getting windy. It makes it a little more difficult to spread during the wind. So I probably better get it done sooner than later. All right, the employees have everything under control in greenhouse number 1. Heading back over to the transplant house to get a few things ready for them. We gotta move some more tomatoes down to the grape house. The ones I'm doing an experiment with on the coconut coir slabs. These tomatoes right there. I think we're gonna go ahead and get them out of here, make some more room for our basil pots. We're getting ready to fill the rest of this rack up with basil pots. They're looking real nice. So we grow them in these little 98s, and then we just pull them out and pop them into a 4-inch pot like this. And this is how they'll be sold at the farmers markets. They'll obviously be a lot bigger. They'll probably be 5 or 6 inches tall by the time they're ready to be sold here in about 3 weeks. So the way we plant our basil is we fill up these 4-inch pots level with germination mix. We pull a basil plant out and we just jam it down into the soft powdery mix, give it a little push in there, and it's done. All right, so we're back in the grape greenhouse doing our little trial that I talked about in prior videos. These are the coconut coir slabs, 3 holes per bag. And we have our determinate field tomatoes. This variety is not even named. It has a number. It's STM 2255. It's done really well for us in the fields. So all we got to do is give our coco coir slab a little squeeze. They've already been hydrated. They were kind of compressed and dried out. Then we take our tomato plant that is in the 4-inch rock wool cube and just set it right on top. It's that simple. I give this a little squeeze just to make sure it's fluffed up and there's good contact with the roots. Actually, there's not many roots coming through. I can just barely see one right there. But these things will root in very quickly and they'll take right off. So it's a pretty quick process. We'll have this done in about 10 minutes. The other varieties that we are planting are Roadster, Skyway, Summer Pick, and Rambler. These are the same varieties that I plant out in my field. They've always done really well for me. All right, we got butternut squash. We take some old trays. They're all stuck together. Those are our packing trays. Put it right down on top of the seed. Kind of evenly press them in. We're looking for about a 3/8 of an inch to a 1/2 inch. That's what it should look like. Now we take our tray. I see a double. Well, sometimes they stick to the inserts and get moved to the wrong hole. And we pull our dirt over the top of the tray. Give it a little pack. Brush it off. Good to go. All right, it is afternoon and I'm getting hungry. We just finished up in here. We got all of our basil pots filled and I was hoping to get our lettuce seeded. We're a couple of weeks behind on seeding lettuce. Now, I haven't planted lettuce for probably over 10 or 12 years, so if I don't get it done, it's no big deal. No one's gonna miss it, but I thought I would try it again this year since it's been so long, you know, to have something else to go with our tomatoes. So we also seeded butternut squash and spaghetti squash, about 24 trays, and here's all the basil pots that we just finished. Getting a pretty good rack full now, and next week those little guys should be big enough to transfer to the pots. So we're starting to fill up in here in the transplant house pretty good. So like I said earlier, it's April 29th today. We're hoping to get our bed shaped and plastic laid here in the next couple days. I might even be able to do it tomorrow if it doesn't rain tonight. There is a chance of rain, so we'll see what happens. But at least I'll get the ammonium sulfate spread and get the field disked as long as it's dry enough. We do need to go out and check the field to make sure that I can dig down about 6-7 inches and not make a mud ball. If it's dry and crumbly, we're going to get the disc out and work that ground up so it's ready to lay plastic tomorrow morning, hopefully. Something else I just thought about is that we bring our cucumbers out of the greenhouse. You know, they were in here where it's nice and cozy and warm for probably 2.5 weeks, I'm guessing. But they start getting long and leggy really quick. So we bring them out here, let the wind hit them a little bit and kind of harden them off and toughen them up and hopefully keep them from stretching any longer. I don't use any kind of growth regulators on my cucumbers. I know some people spray a growth regulator on certain crops that maybe are known to get long and leggy. So the only way to curb that is to bring them outside and harden them off earlier than normal. Now, if it's going to frost, I'll definitely take them back inside the greenhouse, but I think we're good. There's no frost or cold weather in the forecast at all, but you never know. That could change in a hurry in mid-May. I've seen it happen. So hopefully those things will not get any longer and leggier, and all of our crops will be ready to transplant most likely by mid-May. All right, I'm in the middle of spreading this ammonium sulfate in this 9-acre field. This is where we lay all of our plastic mulch on raised beds. I used to also do it in this 1.5 acre field over here, as well as a 3-acre field on the other side of that house. But it's been a few years since we laid that much plastic. We've kind of scaled back our operation just a little bit. So about 8 to 9 acres of plastic mulch on raised beds seems to be about the right amount for us. So let me show you what this ammonium sulfate looks like. Yeah, it just looks like a kind of off-white tan crystals. 21% nitrogen, 2100, I believe that's what ammonium sulfate is. So in addition to the map that I already put out here a couple weeks ago, and potash, that should be about everything these crops need. And the reason I'm doing this today and not when I did my map and potash is because are you freaking kidding me? And the reason I'm doing this today, right before I disc, is because ammonium sulfate, even though it's not as volatile as urea, it is still volatile. So I want to spread it, disc it in so it's kind of trapped within the soil, and then when I lay my plastic mulch, it gathers all that soil in and kind of condenses that nitrogen into that bed area that I shaped with my bed shaper while laying the plastic. So that's kind of the thought process behind that, and it's always worked out really well for us. I'm not saying it's the best way or the right way or the only way, but it's what works on our operation. The older I get, I try to keep things simple. I know there's plenty of newer, better ways to do things. You know, I've been doing this for like 28 years, and you know, during those years I've learned a lot. I've changed things on our operation a lot. I've tried to improve things, but there comes a point in time in your life where when something works, it's not easy to want to change. And I know a lot of older farmers go through this with their next generation, the younger generation, and I'm kind of getting to that point now. Here at age 50, I'm kind of set in my ways. I like a simple farming life. So if it works, it's not broken, I'm going to keep doing it the way I'm doing it. Now, when the next generation comes along and wants to change things up, improve things, try out something different, I will wholeheartedly, 100% support that. But at this point in my operation, in my life, not really wanting to change and experiment and make things more difficult for my life. I'm more about streamlining and simplifying and doing what works for me. So I finished our 8-9 acre field down there, and I still had a couple 100 pounds left to spread, so I'm going to put it in this little 1/2 acre field of wheat. This is where I was going to put my pumpkins this year. We're going to have a U-pick pumpkin patch here, but we have decided to forego planting pumpkins this year for the first time in 24 years. We're going to try a year without it, see how it goes. We can always start it back up in the future if we need to. So my wife really wants wildflowers out here. So I'm not sure what we're going to do with this wheat, but it's going to be good to get some nitrogen on it because I have not put any 28% on here like most wheat growers do. So hopefully this ammonium sulfate will help the wheat a little bit. Maybe it'll head out and we can actually combine it. I don't know, maybe we'll mow it down, maybe I'll kill it, maybe I'll seed some wildflowers into it. I'm not sure, but more on the no growing pumpkin thing later. I'll tell you all about that in a future video. While I was out here in the field, I thought I'd show you our first planting of sweet corn. You can row it, just barely. Some of it's still spiking through, some of it's up almost 2 inches. There's a really nice row. I can see it all the way down. Probably hard to pick it up in the camera. Well, I'm glad to see that. We could use a light rain on this ground because it did get a little bit crusty since I planted it when it was just a little on the wet side. Now this field over here, there's a lot of it that's still struggling to poke through. If we don't get a light rain to kind of soften it up, to let that corn pop up through the ground because of the crust, I may have to get the rotary hoe out here to run across this to kind of break up that crusty surface above the corn seed. So we'll see. I'm pretty sure we're going to get a light rain either tonight or tomorrow, and that'll be all it takes. The corn will pop right up if it gets a little rain on it. All right, I'm not liking what I see. It's a little wetter than I thought. Look at that. I can make a mud ball out of that. That's too wet. I can't disc this. I mean, if I was just going to be going across the surface to smooth this all out and like lightly cultivate it, it's perfect. But I need a deep 6 to 7 inch disking on this ground in order to lay my beds, lay my plastic mulch. That's far too muddy. Let's go check a couple other spots out here. This looks a little bit better here. A lot crumblier. It's not bad. Oh, what to do, what to do. It's a tough call. We got 4, 5, 6 days of upper 70s and partly sunny skies coming. I think the wise decision is for me to hold off until this gets really dry. It just makes laying my plastics so much easier. As bad as I really want to get this done today, work in this ammonium sulfate, I think the right thing to do is to wait, see what this rain does tonight. Hopefully it's just a little shower, and come out here and disc this in about 3 or 4 more days and let it dry. You know, we did get a lot of rain just like a week or 10 days ago, so, and then we got a lot of wind, and it kind of fools you. You know, it looks drier than it really is. So yep, I think we're gonna have to wait a couple days and we'll come back out and disc it up later. In the next video, we will definitely be disking and hopefully laying plastic and planting green beans. So stay tuned for all of that. And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. It'll really help out the channel and I would really appreciate it. This is where we're going to end things today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you again real soon down the farm.